support of DifferenceMaker and its students are very much appreciated. My name is Holly Lalos, and I'm the director of the RISC DifferenceMaker Institute. I would also like to introduce my colleague, Dave Vadalero. Right here. So Dave is RISC DifferenceMaker Fellow, and he's also the manager of the Mentor Program, which is why a lot of you are here with us this evening. So when you came in, you should have gotten an agenda. This is just a brief overview of what the event's going to look like. We're going to talk a bit about DifferenceMaker, explain more details about the Mentor Program. The students are actually going to present their new and improved ideas since advancing through the DifferenceMaker Summer Boot Camp, and then we'll end with a Mentor Program recap, as well as some more networking. So what is DifferenceMaker? DifferenceMaker is a campus-wide entrepreneurship program at UMass Lowell. We engage students of all majors and disciplines, so across campus, North Campus, South Campus majors, in creative problem solving, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So what does that mean? If students have ideas they want to pursue, or they see some type of problem that they want to solve, they come to DifferenceMaker, and then we provide them with resources and support to actually help them further those ideas, solve those problems, and have a positive social impact and make a difference in the community and the world. So our impact, we launched DifferenceMaker in June of 2012. We've reached over 65,000 UMass Lowell students over the last 10 years. We've awarded over $500,000 to student teams. Again, you'll be hearing from 8 of those teams this evening. Those teams have gone on to generate over $6 million in revenue. A lot of them have patents either filed or issued. And what else? 40 companies formed. One of our teams actually, Roger Dalsey, she's the CEO of Invisaware. Some of you may have heard of Invisaware. They won several years ago. Thank you, Roger, for being here. There's one example of a very successful team. They've saved many lives with their technology. Their headquarters are here in Lowell, so they're also helping, employing people and with the economic development of the city. So thank you, Raja. So DifferenceMaker process. So the teams you'll be hearing from today, they started coming to us over the past year. So over the last semester in the spring was our idea challenge process. So these teams applied to the idea challenge, they submitted a written plan, they worked with our faculty fellows and other mentors, they advanced through our workshop series, presented, and actually won funding. Since they won funding, they then had the opportunity to participate in the DifferenceMaker Summer Boot Camp, which recently ended. So that was a 5-part workshop series where we had advisors and more mentors, and the students advanced their ideas through that boot camp. And then from there, we're here today at Demo Day, where they'll present those new and improved ideas since advancing through the boot camp. And then we hope that after this, many of you will be interested in actually partnering with those teams and helping them and mentoring them and advising them as they work on those entrepreneurial endeavors. So I do want to do a couple of thank yous. So I mentioned that during the boot camp we had advisors. So I did mention Raja. So another great thing about students that advance through the program, they often come back as advisors and mentors to other teams, which is great. So Raja, and then Steve DeVries, who is an alumni. He's also a certified business and executive coach at Focal Point. And then Ray Hamilton, who's Raja's co-founder at Invisaware. He's the CTO of Invisaware. And then we also had Kevin Willett, who's a faculty member from the Manning School of Business, the CEO of the Friends of Kevin Networking Group, which I know a lot of you are part of that group, so thank you for being here. And then we also had guest speakers. So at each boot camp session, we brought in guest speakers on specific topics and areas so that the students could learn more about those and gain some expertise. So we had Tom O'Donnell from UMass Lowell, so he did a business model introduction. Chris McKenna and David Canteros, they are patent lawyers from Foley and Lardner, so they talked about IP, as well as business formation. And again, Raj and Ray were kind enough to share some information about their startup journey, and some tips and tricks for the current student teams going through the fundraising process. And then Brian Rist, so he's an alum from UMass Lowell. He's also a very successful entrepreneur, and he is a supporter of DifferenceMaker and the Rist DifferenceMaker Institute. And then lastly, coming up, we have one more workshop that Dave Adelero is going to do to help the students understand more about project management and time management. It's just a bit of an overview. Before passing it off to Dave, I wanted to just thank a few other folks. I saw Steve Tello here at one point. So Steve Tello is the co-founder of DifferenceMaker. He's also the vice provost of professional studies and online education. So I want to thank Steve for being here. I also want to thank my other team members, our Rist Co-op students, Mina and Nick. So they helped really prepare for this event. They welcomed you and checked you in. And then I saw a couple of deans here with us as well. So Dean Witten Woodring from the Honors College. So thank you very much for being here. And then I saw Dean Richtermeyer from the Manning School of Business. She was here earlier as well, so thank you. And then faculty fellows, could you please stand? I saw a couple of you. So Khalil Wolkowitz from the Francis College of Engineering, Kevin Willett from the Manning School of Business, and I had also seen Yu Ho Kim, who's one of our newest fellows from the Zuckerberg College of Health Sciences. And so the Faculty Fellow Program, these individuals work as ambassadors for DifferenceMaker. They work with their colleges and students within their college to help bring them to DifferenceMaker and guide them through the process. I would also like to thank Tomas Demora, who's sitting in the back. So Tomas is Innovations Manager at DCU. He's also a sponsor of one of our college-based competitions that we host each fall semester. It's called the DifferenceMaker DCU Manning School of Business Innovation Contest. So thank you, Tomas, for your support. And then I know I mentioned Raj is here from Invisaware, and I also saw Ariel from Team Terminus, so she's another past DifferenceMaker team. She was actually recently a speaker at the Women Leadership Conference at UMass Lowell, and her team are doing great things and really advancing their project. So thank you, Ariel, for being here as well. And as I came in and was talking to folks, there's a lot of new people here, which is very much appreciated, like I had mentioned, and I also see some older faces, people who have been engaged over the years as judges, as mentors, as guest speakers. So just to everyone, giving their time this evening, we really appreciate it. And with that, I'd like to pass it off to Dave, who's going to give an overview of the mentor program.
Thank you, Holly. So Holly mentioned earlier that we've been working with some of these teams since last year. I know one team, I had a conversation last summer, and they're actually one of the teams that's here tonight. So that's kind of fun. So, whoops, there we go, hit the wrong. So basically, I'd like to think of us, you see the gears together, DifferenceMaker, and the teams working together, and now we're going to bring in the mentors. Hopefully it's, yep, it's even more. And so now we're going to bring in mentors, some people who've also been met previously, and then new ones. So what we do is we basically have two forms that are going to be filled out. You're going to be sent a survey, and there's going to be one form for the teams where they're going to talk about their needs, their availability of the times, and potentially mentors they're interested in. That's going to be optional because we're trying to get the skills and the time aligned. We find that, and then also with the mentors, they're going to say what their skills are and what their interests are and things of that nature. Also the times they're available in the teams that they're interested in. We're going to try to make a match that way. That's sort of the goal of having them do that. And you'll see what's going to happen is that DifferenceMaker is going to get involved, and we're going to basically match them and fill in the blanks and get everybody together to work. Because what happened? The scheduling is really important because that was one of the things that happened. I was literally meeting with some of these teams at like 10, 11 o'clock at night because that was the only time they could meet. So I'm trying to hopefully avoid that kind of a schedule for everybody. So now I have this really wordy slide. So this is a quick one. Verify mutual interest. So if the teams don't say the mentors they're interested in, we're going to say, are you willing to work with this person, here's their background, and then we'll set up our first meeting when we schedule using that availability piece to kind of schedule everyone together. I'm going to go to that meeting and I'm going to talk about sort of things, the expectations and responsibilities of the teams and of the mentors. And part of that will be the next steps. We're also going to schedule all your meetings for the fall semester, because that was the other thing. We're trying to do things that help people be more successful. Typically we would do meeting to meeting to meeting and schedule the next one, and that was very challenging. So I think if we have all the meetings scheduled for the semester, everyone kind of knows when they're going to meet, they can put in their calendar and they're ready to go. So we're trying to, every year we try to adjust the program based on what we're finding and how things work out. Then we're going to review, schedule, and determine and evaluate goals. Part of doing this, the evaluation of goals, is when I do that time management and project management session, all the students will have sort of some new skills and learn about project management, which I think is something we're not aware of. And it'll really help because it's going to have things like, how do you know what success is going to look like for this piece? How are you going to determine how much time this is going to take? Skills like that, which I think will really be beneficial. At least that's what I'm hoping. And that's why we're doing that thing. And after that meeting, the students, is really going to be up to them to determine, to kind of keep track of their agendas. Because the first meeting, I have an agenda all ready to go, that I'm going to, involving all this stuff. And after that, it's going to be up to them to do their agendas, get meeting minutes out, and work with them and keep track of the mentors. I'm also going to try to go to all their meetings, as many as I can, because I found that to be helpful, because I know what's going on, and then I can adjust the course as things progress. And I think that was my... Oh, and I'm also going to, every month, I try to check in with them. That's the other piece. I try to check in on a monthly basis by sending out a small survey to the mentors, saying to the team, are they fulfilling their responsibilities? And we'll little more than that, and the same for the team, so the mentors kind of fulfilling their responsibilities too. So one of the things, we got this slide here. So the difference maker really is donors and sponsors, the mentors and volunteers at universities, what makes us go. That's us down there. We got our teams, and now we got our team mentors joining in. And I'm going to go through this process, quickly review it at the end. But now we're going to get to the team presentations, and I think the first team is Team Amara. Actually, are there any questions before I proceed? Because all the mentors here, all the teams, you're all going to be working with me for the next year. All right, so here's you can stay connected with us. Here's all our social media. We actually just started our TikTok. So we're hip and cool. All right, so this is the order for tonight. We got Amara, Hoppers, Lines with Purpose, Peak Performance, Tender from Alexa, ULM Japanese Association, and Vital Sensing Pass. And we just do it in alphabetical order just because it just makes it easier.
Hello, my name is Brandon Conceição. Unfortunately, my partner is not feeling good, so he can't make it today. But together we are Team Amara, the future of social media. So Amara is a social media platform that focuses on a value-driven and pressure-free user experience. Amara takes the focus away from like and follower accounts and instead focuses on the quality of the user experience and the quality of the content being shared. So what do we do different than other social platforms? We offer a pressure-free user experience. Like I said, no follower counts, no like counts. That way, when you're uploading to the platform, there's no fear of standards, there's no fear of how many likes you're going to get, and you can simply enjoy the experience in the sharing community. If you're a content creator and you want to know the metrics behind your posts and all that, you'll be able to see that on the back end, but it will not be forward-facing. So our next thing is deliver valuable content. So on content that if you're scrolling through our platform, you're going to be able to swipe right on content that you want to see more of, and you're going to be able to swipe left on content that you want to see less of. That way you have an active choice in what you're seeing on a daily basis. We're creator focused. We give creators more ways to make money on our platform. We have diverse business models. We do not solely rely on advertising like traditional social media platforms. We offer humane algorithms that are focused on a positive experience. And we have data transparency. You should know what your data is being used for. So our customer segments, we have two primary customer segments. That's the youth ages 15 to 25, looking for a more value-driven, less toxic social media experience. That and content creators who are looking for more ways to make money on their content and also connect with their audience. So we interviewed 50 plus customers for this process, and our top findings were this. Most people that scroll through Instagram or social media on a daily basis are looking at meaningless content most of the time. I think anywhere between 50 to 90% of the content they said they were consuming was meaningless and a time waste, and they would take back that time if they could. Another thing we found is that there's a massive fear of posting. A lot of people will go a year plus without posting on these social platforms out of fear of standards that are set by these social platforms. They're too addictive, everybody knows this, and unfortunately it's a big problem. Older users create safeguards when they're using the platform. What does that mean? It means they literally put a filter on when they go to use the platform and say, okay, this is not reality. As you get more experience using the platform, you create safeguards in your own mind. And then another finding was people want the option to have a chronological timeline, which means when you display posts on your feed, you should be able to see them at the time they were posted in that order, rather than popularity. Our revenue model, we're going to have a premium creator subscription, so creators can upload public-facing content that's free to access, but they'll also be able to upload exclusive content that their users can purchase. We're going to have a next generation ad manager, so we're going to be the first ever influencer marketing platform directly linked to a social media platform. So brands will be able to connect directly with influencers and create brand deals and curate content via our ad manager. We'll also have a premium ad-free subscription. So our next steps, we're putting the final touches on our business, financial, and marketing plan, and we're going to raise our seed round of funding. We're looking for help and guidance in anybody who has experience with scalable tech, with raising funds, or marketing and financial. Thank you. Any questions?
You defined a pretty broad market you're going after. The 16 to 25. What segments within that are you really trying to
Zero in on essentially anybody that uses social media on a daily basis that has had negative impacts from the social platform. So what we came to find is that around 15 years of age, you've been using social media for maybe 2 to 3 years at this point. And around 25 years of age, you've reached social media maturity, meaning you've been using social media for a while. So we went for the in-between of that, where you understand that there's negative side effects all the way to you've been experiencing the negative side effects. So anybody who's kind of experienced those negative things and are looking for a more positive experience. I hope that answers your question.
Being a mother, I'm concerned even at 15 on content my child sees. How are you addressing that?
So in terms of content, obviously there's going to be standard AI built into the platform that blocks inappropriate, nude content like that. But at the end of the day, it's more about educating the users on value-driven content, right? So that's what we're trying to do here, is we're going to implement value-driven content, meaning something that adds value to your life. Maybe it's, happy, whatever, right? Versus the meaningless, mindless, useless content. So I have a 15-year-old sister, by the way. And she's one of the biggest reasons as to why I'm pushing forward with this. It's because she's going on these social platforms, and whatever the algorithms are pushing that week, whatever trend is popular, which is a lot of, showy, skin showing, all this stuff, and she's constantly comparing herself. I said, listen, would you like a more value-driven experience where you're seeing recipes and workouts versus, the standard trendy stuff? So,
Thank you.
yeah.
There are a lot of social media platforms out there that are well established and already have a large user base. How are you going to break through all of that noise to get your platform noticed?
Right, so a really good marketing plan, a really good platform, but our biggest advantage right now is second mover's advantage. These platforms have been around, most of them have been around for many years, right? And we've got to see all the things they've done wrong. And so with our platform, we're able to implement the things that we're doing right, but we're also building trust with our users, right? So these platforms have almost tarnished their reputation. Facebook halved in the past 8 months their entire company's net worth. People don't trust Facebook. TikTok, data is being shared with China. We all know this. Articles have come out. They have toxic work cultures. So essentially, they're not building a brand that you can trust. And when you're coming to the market with a brand that adds value and is looking to change the game, it's definitely unique and hasn't happened before, for social media at least.
What is behind the name? How did you come up with the name?
Amara means everlasting, and for that reason I chose it, because I want it to be everlasting. Yeah.
Value-based. I understand the swipe left and right. Are there
Yep.
other factors that go into determining what is value for a user?
So the great thing about the swipe right feature is you determine what value is to you. You determine the quality of your experience based off what you want to see more of. So the thing about social media platforms and algorithms and whatnot is they're constantly pushing content at you based off whether you look at the screen for 10 seconds or more, right? Why not make a conscious decision on what you want to see more of? So if you allow the user to engage saying, listen, this is actually content that I want to see, versus having the algorithm decide for you based off of unconscious decisions you're making on the platform, it's very different. But value is different for everybody, which is why the swipe right feature is so cool. And I mean, I'm biased, but. Yes.
Based on that, is it going to be a learning-based algorithm so that if I'm interested in recipes one week and then the next week or next month, that my values have changed?
Again, great. So that's what's the beauty of the swipe right feature, is you're constantly feeding the algorithm what you want to see up to date, real time. Versus algorithms, like I said, it can take a week for them to realize, okay, you're onto something new, or a week for a new trend to come out, and then you're forced to be onto something new. So, last question. Last question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the addictive nature of some of these platforms. Is there any way or things you're going to do to differentiate your product?
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, going back to the value-driven platform idea behind it, anything you use can be addictive, right? Even if it's preventative, like our platform, it still will be addictive at the end of the day. If you're seeing a lot of good things and you're enjoying it, it depends on the user experience though. Are you leaving the app feeling like you've just wasted 40 to an hour of your life, 40 minutes to an hour of your life, or are you leaving the platform feeling empowered, saying, I'm going to go make that recipe, or I'm going to go do this workout, or I'm going to go start that business? We're trying to aim our algorithms to have you leaving the platform feeling empowered and feeling like you've actually had some value added to your life. Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you haven't figured it out already, we were the frog icon on David's list. So we are Team Pond Hoppers. The game board's called Pond Hoppers. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Abigail.
Children's socialization has decreased considerably because of isolation from the pandemic and increased technology use. We created a board game that will help foster education, creativity, communicative skills in children. And I think it was in 2022 for the DifferenceMakers 50K Idea Challenge, we won the Jack Wilson's First Product to Market Award.
So what are we trying to offer? We're trying to provide a game that's going to help children with ways to engage without the use or need of technology. It'll provide a tool for education and social learning that is valuable inside and outside the classroom. It's also an opportunity to build these life skills that really can only be developed at that young age, and they can't be built using tablets or technology.
So to break up our customers and users, because they are different, for our customers we have parental figures and teachers and daycare workers. So the parents want ways to help children socialize because they see it as an important skill and a way for them to decrease screen time and technology use in the household. And for teachers and daycare workers, they believe children need assistance with creativity and socialization aspects that playing board games can accomplish. And our users will be the children. And we found out this summer that parental figures, like grandparents, would be a great user as well to like one-on-one time with their grandchildren.
So for revenue, our initial plan is to start with beta testing in schools and daycares. We really want to make sure that we're making a product that's actually effective. And then after that, we're planning on selling the game for between $15 and $20. This will depend a lot on the price for profit margins and how much it actually costs to produce the game. For sustainability, we're looking to start a Kickstarter campaign. We also want to create more games that offer the same valuable skills that this game is trying to offer, so it'll add a lot of variability. We're also thinking of adding supplemental material. For example, especially in classrooms, we figured that if we could make a small book or pamphlet about frogs or ponds and ecology, then it can be used as a tool for learning in the classroom as well. And maybe playing the game and using that material will help get the children more engaged in the lesson plan.
So next steps in what you guys could offer us. We're looking at design consultations. The picture on the right, we are guilty, it is clip art. So we'll definitely need artist help with that. 3D printing to create the MVP. We have a very 2D prototype that you'll see in a little bit that definitely will be much more engaging with a 3D model. Play testing. That's going to come big into learning what works and what doesn't work. Legal services to also protect our idea for like the instructions of how to play, the creativity of the game, and then our idea around it. So, mentoring needs. Marketing and outreach are huge for future play testing. Getting involved in the schools, children's hospitals, daycares, that would be amazing. Business mentoring for our project to ensure a sustainable future. We are biology majors, so business background we definitely need help with. And then legal guidance to protect our game. And here's a nice little clip of the game.
This one. Wow!
Oh my gosh, you tore my thumb.
Okay, I'm gonna go here.
And I'm gonna go
You like playing?
Yeah, can I do it again?
You wanna play again? Okay.
It's a little loud. Any questions?
How is the game actually played? Is it like checkers, or is it, what is it like?
We do get this question often. It does look like checkers on the board. It is different. So we took a class this past fall that she wanted to teach us more about how games are come about, how much thought it takes to making a game and the surroundings of it. So me and Abby decided to pair up in this class and make a game board. We thought about checkers, but we developed further from that. We added, instead of getting crowns, you get hats. So you'll get to the end of the pond and you'll get crowned, but instead you get like a choice. You want a wizard hat, you want a cowboy hat, what kind of hat do you want? And then these hats have powers. So if you get a wizard hat, you get to make another frog of the enemy your frog. So it's very engaging, but it is different than checkers. We have looked at it, the checkers parameter too, and we are not crossing any borders with it. So it's very more engaging. Checkers can be kind of black and white. I mean, they have some diversity, but I think ours is a little bit more engaging for children than that. Any others?
You mentioned that it helps children develop their communication skills. Can you talk a little bit more about how the game does that?
Yeah, so with our game, we decided to make it only 2-player because we figured that this was an easy environment for young children, especially if they're introverted or they're shyer. They might feel more comfortable just communicating with one child instead of a bunch of them in a group setting. We also, with like the creativity aspect and using the different powers that go along with the hats, it'll help stimulate their creativity, and when they're having fun, they're not realizing that they might be as stressed. And the interaction of just sitting down and playing with the game itself will help with communication, especially because if you're sitting on a tablet, even if you're playing against another person, you're not seeing them, you're not getting their facial cues and stuff like that.
It's hard to talk with the robot on checkers online. So, any other questions?
Are you working with anyone that can advise you on child psychology and developing skills through education, like educational professionals?
We're not, but we would be totally open to that. That would be very beneficial. Yes.
I could see this being a really great thing for, like Tom says, to be in like in an environment where like a counseling office or something like that for mental health. I think that would be really But they do, my child used to be in counseling and they did a lot of games with them one-on-one. And I think it helps them to open up, so definitely look at that. And if you put this little cute kid on all the packaging, I think you're really
That's my nephew. Actually, one of like the personal connections I had to this game, or like our idea with it, was one of my nephews is autistic, and he has a hard time socializing. Like, I'm impressed if he says hi to me or asks me for a cracker. So having a game, I felt like, would be a way to get him to interact more and not be so stressed or like aware of the situation.
I agree.
I'm also thinking, leveraging the other comment too, that I think aligning yourself with teaching professionals would be useful. Again, my background is not teaching, and it sounds like yours is biology, so I think, it takes a special skill set to be a teacher and be able to interact with the children, and I think that would be valuable.
We just got a contact that's a
You have a
teacher at
contact?
a local elementary school.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
we're gonna meet with her, so.
Yeah, great.
What's the age group you're marketing towards?
Our age group that we're ranging towards right now is 6 to 12 years old.
We're thinking developmental age where socialization skills are critical to be learned, so.
I know you said you have a 2D version. Is it a full prototype, or is there something that you expect to happen in a 3D?
So it is a full prototype. The pieces are very small 2D, and with little children, they got bent, they got lost. So it wasn't ideal. We definitely think 3D will bring it more to life, more engaging, and we have more pieces. So.
And I just want to add a congratulations to Team Hoppers because they actually won a $1,000 in-kind service prize at a 3D printing company to help them with the prototype.
If we have one more question, but time's up, we can probably take one more.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hello all, happy Wednesday. Our team name is Minds with Purpose. My name is Delio Santiago and I'm a business major. Marketing and international business are my focus. Minds with Purpose is an entertainment agency dedicated to create support and exposure for creative and entrepreneurs. The reason why I started Minds with Purpose is because I felt like, so I'm from New York City and I moved here to Lawrence, Massachusetts, and I felt like there was a lot of talented individuals and hardworking individuals who all liked the same thing, which was community cohesion and exposure to further on their business and their creativity. This past DifferenceMaker Award, we won the Significant Social Impact Award, which was pretty cool. And it meant a lot to me because I did DifferenceMaker the year before and we didn't make it to the finals. So this year we did, which is pretty cool. As far as our value proposition, Minds with Purpose is different, I would say, from our competitors, which I describe as the Chamber of Commerce, companies like Complex Networks, and so on, because we connect local creatives with like-minded people to achieve their full potential to a curated community and a lifestyle of goals and growth. So we're very resourceful, I would say. We're a one-stop shop agency that we do many different things, which is why we're able to work with many different creators and small businesses. We also connect local businesses with potential new clients through a series of signature programming and community-based events. So for example, we have a Music Monday event that we do monthly, and we connect local artists, which are performers, with creative entrepreneurs like producers, engineers, photographers, videographers, and small businesses, which will be the venue which it takes place in on a Monday night, bringing in all those new clients, and the car service, because we have car partnerships with like limousine companies and things like that, and then with the right people who are the supporters and customers who come to attend the event. Customers and users, again, like I mentioned, I'd like to describe it in two segments, which is one, local creatives and like-minded people, and two is small businesses and entrepreneurs. And to be a little bit more niche down, it will be like the Gen Z community, so the youth that's what I've noticed, that they come to most of my events, multipreneurs, so people who have two different, endeavors, and the multicultural community as well. As far as revenue, again, events are very big for us. So again, someone asked me how long I have doing this. It's been about 2 to 3 years, and at first it was tough because the pandemic happened, so we couldn't bring people together. So how do we keep on pushing the message forward of working with one another and bringing exposure to creators and entrepreneurs? We did merchandise. That merchandise allowed us to keep moving forward through the pandemic. Then I'm like, what else can we do? I'm a marketing major. I love marketing. That's all I do. Let's start offering marketing services. Started helping businesses develop their social media, all of that stuff, content. I'm like, what else do I know? I know a lot of videographers, content creators. I know businesses that need video. What should I do? So we started offering content creation services, and we've done commercials for companies like T-Mobile, House of Blues, Essex Art Center, which is a nonprofit in Lawrence. But back to the events part, which is our biggest revenue maker, we did an event in Lab Boston last year, and it was an entrepreneurial convention, and I think revenue was about $7,000 and expenses was about $3,500. So that one is bringing in, good revenue for us. And how will we achieve sustainability and profitability? Will have to be through consistency and expansion. The next steps and what we need help with is we're building an online MWP community where we will offer a digital space for creative entrepreneurs and small businesses to be discovered, connect, and collaborate. So that's pretty much what's coming. So right now we have the community coming to our events. We have the businesses we work with, helping them develop their social media, and the supporters that just come to be a part of us. But now we want to put them all on an online platform that they can further on those connections. And when they come to the event, you don't get to meet everybody there. But with this platform that we're creating, we want to just create more connections and more networking opportunities that will further on more business in the future. Thank you, and any questions, this is our Instagram page.
Is Instagram the only way that you're connecting people today?
No, so I also use my personal LinkedIn to make a lot of connections happen, but that's why we're trying to create our own online platform. But Instagram is our main key right now to connect people and push our events. Like, also, I forgot to put on what's coming because there's so much, but we have a fashion show at the end of the month at a rooftop location at my old community college, which is also huge. It's the first event I'm doing partnership kind of with a school. And then we have our charity basketball tournament August 28th. I forgot to add those in the next tabs, but yeah, Instagram is the main key right now.
So you had in there that you wanted to expand into other states. So what you're sharing and what you've been doing with your events and such so far is very localized. So is the expansion into other states to bring more exposure into the local events, or are you looking to create this local community in other locations?
Yeah, so we're looking to create this local community in other locations because I believe there's creative entrepreneurs and small businesses everywhere. So last year, I believe it was last year, what we did as a business was travel month to month to different cities like Atlanta, California, Miami, New York, just interviewing, creatives and entrepreneurs, hearing about their journeys, and getting that content that we could then share to our community back home to create those connections. Like, I had people finding out about barbers that had clothing brands in New York, or creative entrepreneurs with clothing brands in Miami that are doing it successfully and working with a lot of celebrities. So just trying to grow it to all those other cities, and with the digital platform that we're creating, it will grow, and it will just help everybody in the community.
You mentioned creatives. Are there other types of entrepreneurs specifically that you're hoping or looking to bring into this community?
Yeah, so right now what I have been noticing is that we have been working with a lot of creatives like musicians, models, MBAs, photographers, but we want to start working more with the, vendors of like skincare brands, clothing brands, bring more of those, like electrical people, like just all those entrepreneurs that are not so much on the creative side, because we have been working with a lot of creatives, but that's one thing that about Minds with Purpose, that we don't only focus on creatives, we also focus on the entrepreneurs. So like the mom and pop owned restaurant, or like, things like that. We want to bring that community more to us.
So in what ways are you connecting with these entrepreneurs, finding them, and then onboarding them into your platform programs?
Yeah, so recently a lot of it has been word of mouth. So, we work with one business, then they go and tell their colleague, they helped us out with our social media rebrand, it's been going very good. And then we will onboard them, have an initial meeting to see what their pain points are, what are they trying to get out of, the next few months. So we can always be on the same page, because communication is key when, helping other entrepreneurs grow their business. So that's how we've been doing it. It's been a very customizable onboarding process. But then again, when we get back to the digital platform that we're building, we have to kind of like make that onboarding process more generic for the masses.
So I love how you're working with folks in the creative space, because that's more of a work of passion, right? But on the self-care and the small entrepreneur, there's an awful lot of help that is needed in the social media marketing. But one of the challenges facing social media marketing is the algorithms are changing. The social media platforms are changing the way that they navigate that space and what users or content providers are allowed to do. How are you tackling or facing that?
So again, the organic approach, like you said, working with creatives is like a lot of passion work. Minds with Purpose is all I do for like the last 2.5 years, like I said. It's my lifestyle at this point, so I'm very passionate about it. But regarding your question about working around these algorithms, the organic approach, just showcasing what these businesses have to offer, figuring out the times that their users are being engaged a lot, and just using those techniques and strategy to help them grow.
Will this be a paid platform or membership community?
Yeah, so there'll be different membership tiers. And actually our first MVP will be out in mid-July, so I'll make sure to share it with all of you guys, friends of Kevin, and the DifferenceMaker community. So if you're not a user, you'll still be able to see the directory and the events going on. But once you become a user and you go behind the paid wall, you're able to post events, you're able to have a feed, you're able to interact with others, message others. And this is something new, I've been doing Minds with Purpose just backwards, building the community first, and now we have a product, so now we're just gonna put all the community into this product.
I think that it's great that you are trying it and getting the feedback, implementing, and keep going. I think that's awesome, but I'm hearing another benefit of behind that paid wall is the marketing opportunity for these businesses, along with the connection and community that can be created. Excellent job.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Mark Elman. I'm a second-year biomedical engineering student at UMass Lowell, my team leader.
My name is Stephen Evangelos. I'm a fourth-year senior biomedical engineering student at UMass Lowell, and we are the peak performance team.
All right, tell me a little bit about what PEAK is.
Peak performance, it's an acronym, super simple. Proprioceptively enhancing assessment knowledge. Got it? Listen, we want our athletes performing at the peak of their ability, and we want them to be able to do it consistently. We're going to bring them to the top of their ability. We're going to keep them there using a specialized device, telemetry system, and method that we've come up with here at the university. We were fortunate enough to be representing the healthier contribution to, it says it right there. Contribution to a healthy lifestyle from the 2022 DifferenceMaker Idea Challenge.
Our value proposition is that we are aiming to create a gold standard assessment for axial body position in space.
What we're talking about is the rotational alignment between your hips and your thorax through your spine. It takes 3 minutes to acquire the data. The data is acutely valuable right now to help you periodize your current program, and its performance value is going to be to the athlete of frequency in your best movement pattern, you're going to be performing at your peak.
So let's talk about the medical value.
Okay, medical, like biomedical.
Yeah.
Like we're biomedical engineers, biomedical. We do things in coordinate planes. We do things in X, Y, Z axes. If we had a spinal deviation in this plane, we'd call it scoliosis. And if we had one in this plane, we'd call it kyphosis. They have medical diagnoses. What do we call it when the top and the bottom are twisted? Anybody? We don't even know. Here's how it works. If you have an X-ray machine, you can take the plane this way, you can measure this way, you can take the plane from this way, and you can measure. But we're talking about having to take the X-ray, it doesn't work like that. Mom's like having to do like torso chops inside of an MRI machine. Might get a little expensive. Not so much here. I think they just need the right tool and the method to get this piece of data.
So our customers are the trainers and the coaches in the United States Marine Corps and the NCAA.
Let's talk about some of our research statistics that we've acquired while we've been participating in this boot camp program.
So, but these organizations, they know what proprioception is, but they do not know how to train it.
That's right. They know the value of it. They know that it exists. It's published in the articles, but there's still an unclear pool of knowledge there of how to actually start and how to progress and periodize the metric into an athletic performing program that's already laid out for athletes. The way we were able to acquire this information was face-to-face. We're currently IRB approved at UMass Lowell to perform research studies with NCAA athletes here. We've spoken with Dave Pizzino, who's the head golf coach at UConn, through a connection at the Mohegan Sun Golf Course. A month and a half ago, we went to San Diego, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, and we spoke with Melissa Mahoney, and she said, "You want to do it right there?" And I said, "Yeah, no, I don't have my table." I mean, she told us about this group at TCOM. Last time we were here, we got a little challenge from the judges as if to say, how do you know that this thing that you're measuring is going to be valuable for this particular population? Because we haven't been talking about military contracting through the whole procedure. But Mark and I went to Virginia the day after Steve asked us that question. We marched right into the office. We told them who we were. We told them that we met with Melissa, and they knew who we were because Melissa had told them. We know that they're interested in this, for sure. How are we going to make money, Mark?
We're going to make money first, initially, by selling tables, but we're also going to be publishing certification so that we can train the coaches to train the athletes and the soldiers.
Essentially, we can give you a table, but it's all the more valuable to you if we give it to you and you're already a working professional, and we give you a certification program that teaches you how to specialize it for your different client populations. DoD and non-DoD research grants is up there because Melissa told us about some funding opportunities through the U.S. Navy, similar to like this program we're in here at the university. Our sustainability works in updating our information and recertifying individuals. Our next steps is we need to be able to get ourselves on site to conduct our research. We need an updated patent help, and we need a new logo. It's time for a new twist on core training. Thank you very much for your polite attention. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Happy to field it this time.
I work with a training company that trains athletes, mainly college students for to become professional athletes. How would selling a table work with that type of company?
From a sales perspective, or from from them having heard about it perspective?
I'm more concerned about the legalities of it. Like, do you have to go in and train them how to use it, or how does that work? Like, if you were trying to go after that sort of market.
Are you talking about like the accreditation process of putting the power of training somebody on this table into somebody else's hands? Yes, that would be a highly scrutinous process. Our business plan over the next 5 years entails our undergraduate and graduate research here, where we're primarily seeking to just publish research and eventually start moving it towards an FDA-approved device, so that accreditation would be more possible. It's not going to happen next year or the year after that, but between years 3 and 5, likely. We would need to get 3 yeses from them, But just because you do 3 studies doesn't mean you get 3 yeses. You might get a yes on study number 2 and on study number 7. So we just want that data. We just gotta publish the data. Other questions?
To that end, is there a possibility where you could bring this to market as a non-classified medical device before you have FDA approval, or do you have to go all the way through the FDA approval process before you could bring it to market?
As long as you're not using the word device in the same sentence that alludes to that something of diagnosing, treating, mitigating, there's a line in the FDA's webpage of all those different attributes of acquiring information about an injury. As long as you're not talking about injury, you can go to Gold's Gym or any fitness facility. It could be sold no different than that for sports performance, yes.
Have you considered physical therapists or chiropractors in terms of rehabilitation or preventative maintenance as people are exiting or coming in?
So one of my good friends is about to graduate from University of Hartford as a DPT. And I've had him in and out of the lab when we have breaks and whatnot. And he talks about his PT experience moving into being a professional in that field, similar to the way it was for me when I was doing paramedic, is that like, here's an injury, there's a protocol. It's built through this system, here's the code number for it. I feel like maybe we could go to all the Bay State physical therapies around here, or all the other facilities, and try to acquire data from those folks, like surveying, hey, can we put our table in here and have you test it out for a little bit? Which may help us for, selling many tables. It might, but it's market on right now, and we have a really good relationship with the research scientist university. We would want to collaborate with those folks to the end of an eventual FDA approval. Yeah. But as far as growing the team, yeah, physical therapy, occupational therapy, we're looking for it, yeah.
How does the table actually work?
The person lays down supine on their back, and they're supported by 4 different positions. Under their hips, under their heels. That's the bottom half.
And how long is each session treatment?
If you want the assessment value, which is what we're using as part of our research IRB protocol, that assessment value, 3 minutes. You can do a session from 3 minutes. I've done sessions for an hour with people on it. We're on our 9th prototype iteration. I built the first one 10 years ago.
Is there any IP around the measurement technique or the approach that you're using?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what we've done, we shot ourselves in the foot. We did the risk difference maker in the fall, and we were able to get enough funding to update some of the design features, but it's different now. We need to update that IP. Mm-hmm. We could go forward with prototype 8, all free and clear, but obviously number 9 is way better, and we just need to update. Okay. We've got 50 seconds left. Any other questions?
Sure. Who's your competition?
Who is our competition for measuring axial, thoracic, lumbar proprioception and alignment? Nowhere at our price point, but as far as integrating real-time biofeedback and the use of sensors into your everyday workout routine, this is upcoming. Technogym does it. Peloton does it. Tonal starts to do it. We're interested in it. There's a company in San Diego that we're in talks of partnering with right now, with Exometrics. You can check out their website at exometricsfitness.com, and you're going to see a machine that is absolutely revolutionary that we're working to combine the 2 functionalities of it together. Their technology, not weights, they're using electric motors for resistance instead of weights.
Hello everyone, we are Tendrin. My name is Victoria Williams. This is Amy Russell and Ethan Block, and we are interested in innovating emergency care. We got the idea for a company by experiencing something that we all have, or all will experience someday, which is a really long wait in the emergency room. This personally happened to me when I had to drag my father to the emergency room after he had a sharp pain in his side. He was downplaying his symptoms, and we ended up waiting for about an hour. Once we did end up seeing the doctor rushed him through tests and ended up diagnosing him with a blood clot in his lungs, which, if you don't know, is a very dangerous diagnosis. At any point, my father could have, the blood clot could have broken off, causing an aneurysm, so my father could have died as we waited to see the doctor. This made it very apparent to me that we needed a medical device that monitors patients when they know that they're sick and are in the ER, but are waiting for the doctor to check them out. This is where our product comes into play. Our product is a reusable wristband with a rechargeable battery. It has a pulse oximeter and 2 electrodes, which monitors the patient's heart rate, SpO2, which is the blood oxygen levels, and ECG, which is their heart rhythms. We have recently won the 2022 Sutherland Innovative Technology Solution Award, and we also won the 2021 Prototype Competition.
So our device has 3 main value propositions. The first is that we currently have no market competition. In the post-triage pre-admittance care, there is no device that does what we do. The second is that we will help reduce the 25% of preventable deaths in the ER due to a delayed diagnosis. Our device will allow the service providers to deem who needs to be seen first. It will also address the 12-hour wait time nationally in the ER during COVID-19, as it will provide comfort to the patients and the patients' families, knowing they're being monitored during their time. So our customers will be hospitals nationwide. Specifically, we're going to be trying to integrate with Epic, as 46% of hospitals use it to accumulate and analyze the data of their patients. Regardless, if we do, whoever we integrate with, hospitals are still interested in our device. This is exemplified by the fact that we have an excerpt from a letter of intent to purchase from our local Lowell General Hospital.
So where we will generate revenue will be a subscription model. From the bootcamp, we generated this revenue estimation model. We believe that the first year we'll probably eat most of the costs of setting a hospital up with their hardware and whatnot. But by year 2, with less hardware costs and our subscription model, we plan on profiting in our deals. In terms of next steps, first we're going to be looking at intellectual property so that we can protect our idea, because our second step is partnering with an existing company, preferably one with FDA approval, so we can quickly get to market. After that, we will use that device and that partnership to integrate with Epic, working with computer programmer. And finally, we'll bring the full system to Lowell General, where we can test with nurses to make sure that we're meeting the qualifications that they expect. In terms of what we're looking for from a mentor, we need help in the legal field with patents, partnering with other companies, basically protecting ourselves in these situations, as well as someone with programming knowledge or software creation. Thank you.
It's great, by the way, that you're trying to link this to Epic, I think, because there are major HIPAA considerations here when you've got a series of patients triaged in an ER, and the sanctity of data and monitoring that. I guess the one question I have is, have you had discussions around how this monitoring process might work and how patients might be a priori selectively triaged to actually get the band, depending on whatever potential diagnosis they might have? Because obviously the more patients that get the bands, the more patients you have to monitor, then the more employees you have to, nurses or nurse practitioners you have to have involved in monitoring. And just thinking about that process and how it might work.
Right. So thank you. And I also want to clarify, because I forgot to mention this, but all of the data that is collected in these wristbands is going to be sent directly to the nurse's triage station. So it will be the nurses working with this data. How to process through all of this data, we were originally considering only having nurses put wristbands on patients that they think that would need it the most. However, that introduces a lot of complications with, like, if something happens and they don't have a wristband but another person has a wristband. So then that's going to kind of be based on the size of the hospital. We kind of want to start with Lowell General, because when we were speaking to the nurses there was an estimated maybe max 50. It's a very busy ER, but we're going to be working with them and giving them like a small prototype of things.
In terms of processing the data, it will be in the background and will only be apparent to the nurses in the event there is an emergency. So it will only present itself if it goes beyond the bounds that the nurse sets for that patient.
Okay, great. So you're going to have algorithms and protocols in place that if, for example, if you're detecting AFib, versus, say, SVT or something like that, you'll be able to pick that out and just, okay, SVT, I'm not too concerned, this is AFib, this is a patient, we gotta get in here, staff, and take care of things.
Right, it'll be a range of parameters that the nurse will
Right,
ideally
cool.
be able to work with,
All right,
yeah.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
So as a follow-up to that, and, ER nurses are fantastic people, great hearts, and, they're limited,
Yeah.
right? So is the system more where there's a proactive alert taking place, or is it the nurses are monitoring the data coming in?
It would be more of an alert system. If something goes wrong, then something flashes, and if not, it's in the background.
And it raises their attention?
Exactly.
Perfect, yes, thank you.
To piggyback off of that, nurses are great, patients sometimes not so much. So what is your plan for supplying devices when they are walked out with by patients, when they are broken, through use or whatever the case may be? What's the protection for the hospital to keep incurring costs, and how is that going to affect your bottom line?
Right.
So generally, the bracelet itself will have an alarm, and it'll start going off as soon as they are out of range of the hospital. So it's going to get really annoying, and they're not going to want to keep it. Also, we plan on having a bucket near the exit, so as they leave, it'll be encouraged to leave it there. But yes, anything to add?
It's included in the revenue that either some wristbands are going to be misplaced, purposely taken, broken, just replaced in general. So in our year 2 revenue, we do kind of consider the fact that hospitals will need more of the wristband itself. However, the cost of the wristband isn't really going to compare to the revenue that we're gaining from the subscription. So we're not going to lose much on that side of things.
And how many wristbands per Global General for their emergency room do you think you need? What's your data on that?
Well, from speaking with nurses there, they could use up to 50 at a time, but that would be a very busy waiting room at that time.
Yeah, I misspoke earlier. I think Lowell is actually one of the busiest ER in Massachusetts. Totally the reverse of what I said. But what we're planning on starting with is only, like 10 or so prototypes that we talked to them about giving to them, just so we can manage our data and kind of figure out what's needed. And also for the bigger hospitals, more wristbands will probably mean like a higher subscription cost, and so we can work with that high level of data better.
I think it's a great product.
Thank you.
Yep.
What is the connectivity protocol between the device and Epic? Is it either be Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, or what was that look like?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
You may be aware of this already, but Epic has a pretty robust published standard for anybody who wants to create an integration with Epic.
Yeah.
It's called their App Orchard, so if you haven't checked
Yeah,
out,
we reached out to them and they provide us with that.
Good,
Yep.
yeah, definitely read up on that.
Yeah.
Last question.
How have you built your working prototype so far? What does it consist of?
So far, it's been made out of Arduinos and MATLAB, so it's kind of different, but but it works. So
Yeah, proof of concept.
yeah, proof of concept. But the real device, we haven't been able to integrate an ECG yet. I mean, just from Arduino setbacks, but we plan on doing it in the future.
Okay.
So there'll be times.
Hello everyone, my name is Cristina Cervantes,
My name is Ariel Martinez.
and we are ThermoISA. So ThermoISA is the device that delivers intelligent and personalized home automation control through unique biometrics recognition. Our product consists of a face recognition camera that would be installed at the entrance of each zone in your house, and it will detect each individual in the house, and it will adjust the temperature control set point and lights to that person's comfort. And what's really good as well is that it would instantly switch the empty zone to energy saving mode, while competitors in the market take about 2 hours to do this. And this year we were fortunate enough to win the 2022 Idea Challenge for the award of a commitment to a sustainable environment. So for our value proposition with our product, we offer personalized intelligence for the optimal comfort of everyone in the house. We offer a fully automated system where after the initial setup, you don't have to worry about touching the controllers again in your house. We predict a 26% decrease in energy consumption just by looking at temperature control, meaning 2 hours so your heating and cooling system will rest, reducing the impact on the environment. And lastly, we provide improved privacy by having a camera cover that is activated by a motion sensor. And we're also going to be using a novel technology known as tiny machine learning, where all the data and training happens in the hardware of the camera, meaning no videos or audio going to the cloud.
After looking at some customer surveys, people say that they're willing to pay more for smart devices in order to be more environmental friendly. Therefore, we have targeted two types of customers. The first one being homeowners in North America and Europe, and the second one, home automation companies and HVAC companies, that we will sell our technology to for further integration with their own products. Notice that even though we have different customers, they all have the same end user, which are people living on residential houses. That being said, we're not ignoring the possibility to also sell our technology to larger buildings like hospitals, schools, or commercial buildings in the future. Our revenue streams vary based on the type of transaction. For B2B sales, we have one-time direct sales to home automation and HVAC companies with the possibility of annual licensing our own simulation software, which will tell businesses how much they're actually saving by integrating with our technology. In the other hand, we have B2C sales. This will be a one-time sale through retailers like Amazon, Best Buy, Home Depot, and through our own website, with the possibility to actually have annual memberships with the options to upgrade to software features like credit recognition or non-familiar face detection for security. Moving on to the next steps, we first plan to legally create our company and then provisionally patent our idea, hopefully with the help of Foley and Lerner legal services. We also plan to apply for the e-for-all program that we, to get more mentorship, more business training, and to get access to a wider professional network. And in terms of what we need, we're seeking for mentorship on the home automation and sales and marketing fields. With that, thank you very much. We can take any questions now. Yeah.
How does this differ from building controls?
What do we mean by building
Like if
controls?
you had like usually building controls, if they install something in your building and that, it regulates the temperature in certain areas
Right.
and things like that.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. If you have, let's say you have in your house built controllers, right? You actually have to take your phone out, change your temperature. Yeah, with this, your face will be the switch for everything, and your set point will be your face. You won't have to have to change any more after the initial setup. You don't have to change your thermostat or your temperature.
So that being said, if you had a whole family in the living room, how does that work? Is it on average?
Well, kind of. You have the opportunity in the app. You have the opportunity to set priority weights in percentages. So let's say you have 50% priority. Of course, it will be an average. But if you have 100 and the other one, they don't care that much about temperature control.
So it really depends on who's.
It depends. Like, in case you have a baby or you have someone that really care about, medical conditions and they really need the temperature.
And just to add a little bit more to the building controllers, a lot of the buildings that have smarter controls are more based on schedules. And here it would be instant, so it detects a person, it'll instantly switch it. Or if it detects instantly that the room is empty and then it'll go into energy saving mode. While in a schedule, it's more like it's always on at this temperature during this time, and then it goes after whatever time it goes into energy saving mode. So with us, we will be saving all the energy that's wasted when there's no work.
So this relies on cameras, and I'm guessing in multiple rooms and homes, especially for homeowners. How are you going to overcome the psychological obstacles that people will be concerned about their privacy because of these cameras? And what security protocols are you going to have in place to prevent hackers from getting into the system to violate people's privacy?
Yeah, thanks. So, first of all, we will use a technology called tiny machine learning, which means that your face recognition training will happen inside the camera. So there is no data back and forth from the cloud. And we also plan to have a sensor motion cover that, as it detects the patient, the person walking around the camera, that's when it will open and detect the face. So based on hackers, so there is a large portion of the population that already have indoor cameras. So we're not worried about those because those already accept the privacy issue, right? We worry about the ones that are concerned about having cameras inside the house. And yeah, so we'll have these two features. We're using totally different technology, tiny machine learning, and we'll have the cover, the camera cover for that. Yeah.
So how are you controlling the individual rooms? I mean, telling a thermostat on a central HVAC system is going to bring the temperature of the whole house.
So it depends on the system that you have in your house. Some houses only have one zone, one thermostat, one equipment, so there's only that one, so your whole house will be controlled with that one camera. Now, if you have multiple zones, you have different equipments, and we would be controlling those different equipment. So we're only sending the set point to the thermostat, right? And then the thermostat does its normal job that a normal thermostat does. So that's the only thing that we're changing. And there are other technologies, so like the VRF system and the VAV systems, where they change, where you can actually control each individual room based on changing the volume of air that comes in, or different equipment in each of the zones. So it depends a lot on the technology, the heating and cooling technology that you have in your house.
So are you planning on partnering with like eco vents and some of those to control those?
That's also
To shut
part,
down
yeah, that's also
vents
part
and
of our business plan, yeah.
You've defined two very different target markets, the B2C and B2B. Are you planning to hit them both simultaneously, or hit one first for traction and visibility and so forth?
That's a great question. We plan to first create our own thermostat without the need to integrate it with any other company, and then from that scale to sell our technology to companies like Carrier, for example, that they can just sell the whole packet with our technology integrated. Yeah.
There's one time for one more question.
If I can make a suggestion, we were just chatting here, and so this gentleman's question about I only have a thermostat on the first floor, and it controls 5 rooms, but there is an opportunity, like I'm thinking about our medical device incubator, right, where we have 6 labs that need control, and so and where we would be willing to invest in building controls into the HVAC system. I'm not going to do that in my house, but I'm very likely going to do it in my medical device incubator. So it might be a market opportunity where people would be willing to spend the money to give you that visualized room.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's also something that we're thinking about, and also partnering, for example, with builder companies, where they design the whole installation of buildings, and buildings that are new and buildings that already have their own system, and then we can adapt it. For example, with like the volume, the variable air volume systems, where you can actually adapt it into your own like normal HVAC system, and then we can integrate our technology with them, and then here our simulator software plays a big role as well, because then we can simulate how much, like how many of our cameras do we need, and how much energy are we actually saving with our technology.
Just to tag on to that, you may find when you do the analysis and the customer discovery and all that stuff, your return on investments will be faster, so the value will be higher, and your own ability to scale the business will be faster, because the per unit sale revenues will be much higher. So,
That's true. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Testing. Great. Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Mina Lamb. I'm the president and
founder of UMass Little Japanese Student Association. And so first I had this idea where it was virtual, there wasn't any organizations on campus that was focused on Japanese culture. Yes, there was an anime club, but it's just on the media side. I wanted to bring something new where we could have culture as well as food and the lifestyle, so I decided to create this club, and it officially became a club in April 2021. And through these organization, I did some general meetings. We organized some where it's focused on music, Japanese dances, and we also joined the Asian Council, which consists of other Asian culture clubs here at UMass Lowell, Cambodian Student Association, Korean Student Association, and many others as well. And we were the 2022 Idea Challenge finalists as well. And for our value proposition, so we were using this organization as a way for students, alumni, university guests, non-students, as well as commuter students, because I understand how for some students who are commuting, I've heard their experiences where it's hard to make friends, especially in some other classes, so we wanted to bring this as an opportunity where they can meet other students who are passionate about the culture, as well as a way to learn more about Japanese culture as well. And especially with the recent assassination of the former Prime Minister, Abe, we wanted to use this as well as a way for Japanese students to feel more comforted and to have a way for them to have a place to meet others and feel comforted. And for our customers and users, so for our customers, it's students, alumni, university guests, as well as non-students as well. And before we had these surveys that we sent it out, and we found out that most of our members, they live around Lowell, especially being on campus and commuter students. And we found out that the majority of our members, they actually don't speak Japanese, so we wanted to incorporate some more Japanese lessons where they can learn more about the language and also meet others who are also skilled as well. And so for revenue, so how can we make money? So we had some fundraising events recently. We started last year when we first started getting back on campus. We had a night market where we sold food, Japanese food, onigiri, sushi. We had a lot of variety just in case for allergy reasons. So we had some avocado rolls, California rolls, as well as egg onigiri, and also one with just salt onigiri as well. And we actually sold out in the first 10 minutes. We were surprised how many students actually went by, bought our product, and helped supported us. And we actually had an Asian night too, where we collaborated with other Asian culture clubs and had performances happening while we were volunteering too. And in the beginning of the semester, we were actually given about $400, which is kind of hard, especially starting off a new organization and getting back in person. But we finally, thanks to DifferenceMaker and our recent budget, we were able to get $3,000 for our club, where we can help with apparel and giveaways and do raffles, which is actually part of our next revenue step. We want to do more where we can offer some more Japanese prizes and products where some others actually might not know it's actually made in Japan. So we wanted to do more raffles, and we're also open towards collecting donations as well. And so to become sustainable, so we are going to do more tabling at the university especially, and during my role as student trustee, I'll also use this opportunity to advertise more clubs on campus throughout the UML official page, just to show that there's all these organizations on campus, and we just want to bring more greater awareness to what students are doing. And so far, we're going to be connecting with OMA, Office of Multicultural Affairs. We're going to do some events with them especially. And also with the Manning School, the Advertise program, we would like to collaborate with them to offer ways for Japanese students to get involved and be our guest speakers. And also the Advancement Office, because there's a lot of alumni and donors who could be Japanese and are interested about our mission and would like to support us as well. And we're just going to continue working with the Asian councils and the other clubs to bring more awareness about our club. And so we're just trying to find more ways to motivate other students to join our e-board, as well as ways to advertise even more, bringing more greater awareness about our club that just started just a year ago. And thank you. This is our social media to check out more of our updates and meetings. And thank you for your time.
So Mia, a great presentation. Something just occurred to me when we were talking about this in the hall, sitting down here now. Have you reached out to the Japan Society of Boston yet? Because they're one of the nation's oldest shared cultural societies in existence. I think it was established around the turn of the century. So that could possibly be a decent avenue for you, and we can chat about this more later on.
Thank you. Yes, we actually reached out to them just last week, and we're going to meet next week, so we're going to hear more about ways and methods that we can advance our organization to and do collaborations as well.
That's great, because a lot of, so there, you know, when I basically, after we sold Separate Board to Donapon Sumitomo, you know, we've been engaged in that society beforehand, but then there was an increasing level of engagement. So, you know, it's a way of going through that group and actually networking to businesses in the local community. For example, you know, DSP or Synovium, we call the company now, is one possible, you know, venue for funding. So I definitely, that's great you're talking.
Thank you so much. Yes?
So would individuals pay like a membership fee to become a member of the organization, or how exactly would that work?
Okay, so for our organization, we're trying to make it as a nonprofit where students don't have to pay for membership. They're able to attend these meetings whenever they want to, through attendance, especially as students. We're really busy with their schedule, so they don't have to attend all the meetings, they can attend a few. And we don't want to charge students, we want to just give more opportunities for students, and we believe that through fundraising, we'll be at least able to cover the costs of all the raffles and giveaways to continue our operations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
So, two things. First of all, is it your Discord that I'm a member of JSA?
Yes, the UML JSA Discord. Very active.
Second, try the Reddit if you're looking for people. I don't know if you're going to post there, but when we originally were posting about, you know, our server and joining up, you know, membership, we got about 500 people.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Go for it.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely expand more social media opportunities to advertise about our organization. Thank you so much. Yes?
Do you think you'll expand to other UMass locations as well and other colleges in the area?
Yeah, we would like to. We actually joined this organization, New England Japanese Intercollegiate Network, and we actually worked with some of the universities in Boston, for example, UMass Boston, Boston University, Northeastern, all these different organizations on their campuses. And we got the chance to do this Undakai, which is a Japanese sports festival right at Boston University. And we got to collaborate, volunteer, and we were able to make it happen, especially just a few months ago. And it was just great to see other students as well from other universities. Yes?
So you have, this is obviously something you have a lot of passion and drive about, but it's also a student organization. How does this organization outlast you?
Oh yeah, definitely. It all starts, of course, with the e-board. We're trying to find ways to motivate other students into getting into these roles. And I gotta say, I can share a little bit about my backstory. So when I first started this club, I did not have any experience being part of an executive board. And so I was kind of like, how is this gonna work as we're transitioning from virtual to in-person? But then it's like a learning process. It's like ever since just starting a new job, a new role, it takes some experience and takes some time to get a little bit more used to. And so I just had to kind of like get myself out there, get out of my comfort zone, meet other students or other organizations and tell them more about my mission and club. And through that, I was able to meet others, make some friends, and just having an experience of working with my e-board especially, because through these fundraising events, we worked together, we made some food together, we had a lot of bonding nights. It was just a great experience where even just words can't really express it all. Yes?
Have you considered reaching out into the community for Japanese-owned or businesses, for example, and doing partnership or sponsorship?
Oh yes, definitely. We would like to reach out to any Japanese organizations or businesses, especially local businesses too, because we want to help promote greater awareness about Japanese culture, but also supporting our local businesses here at UMass Lowell as well, and near the Lowell community too. Thank you so much for your time.
So we have 3 mics. This mic works, 2 of those 2 doesn't work. Okay.
Hi, I'm Moon Wiggins, Harris Coon, and Plum Doe, and we are Team Vital Sensing Patch. Our problem is that adult patients need a better way to track their health away from the hospital. Over the last several months, we've determined that our chronic chronic disease patients over the age of 65 be our best serviceable operating market because for two reasons. One is chronic disease patients could benefit the most from regular monitoring away from the hospital, and because elderly patients, because of Medicare, it will be easier for us to get the product reimbursed. Our solution is an all-in-one remote monitoring wristwatch that will be FDA approved, and the award we received is the DifferenceMaker Honorable Mention Award. So our value proposition is starting with the FDA. None of our competitors have full FDA approval, and FDA approval will allow not only patients but doctors to get on board because our data will be able to be published in professional journals. We aim to take a full set of vitals, heart rate, heart rhythm, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, respiration, and temperature, but we will focus on blood pressure in the beginning. We will have the ability to track vitals trends over time, and we also want to incorporate vital scheduling so the users can schedule what times of the day they want their vitals taken. All this will lead to real-time data sharing with the Epic system.
So throughout the workshop, we have conducted multiple interviews to understand more about the customer and also the clinician perspective on our product. And we have discovered multiple customer segments for this small vital sensing patch, that's including patient with chronic disease, outpatient or post-surgical patient, as well as any other young adult who want to stay healthy and want to avoid potential mobility may occur to them in the future. So our target population is those with chronic disease. So we think that this group of patients, they in need of monitoring in between hospital visits. So they need a device. So you can see on the graph, this as demonstrate what our interview thinks about what features they need most in our product. And here you can see remote monitoring and portability is one of the two features that they are looking for. Apart from that, we also have accuracy and data sharing. So patients with chronic disease can better keep track of their health, of their vital, and also allow the doctor to have access to this data to see how well they are, how the health condition are, as well as how the progress of the treatment and how effective medication they're using. And another feedback we also received from our interview is concerning regarding using a monitoring device outside of controlled environment like hospital clinics. And there are many factors that's going to affect not only the accuracy but also the usefulness of the data that the device collect. Like, for example, the device may take data while a patient is intensely exercising, so that data may not be valid for the doctor diagnostic and evaluation of the patient. So therefore, we need a customized monitoring schedule feature allowing customer who are patient and the doctor to collaborate and come up with an appropriate customized schedule to take their vitals.
So for the progress of our device, going forward, we seek funding and revenue through grants. We're going to be applying for more pitch competitions because at this time we don't have a physical product to sell. Since we're also trying to get it FDA approved, we're going to try venture capitalists and other investors. And then eventually when we get through the process and have the product, we have a revenue model for how we're going to do the sales and the monthly feedback to get more into that. And our next steps, we're trying to work on legal documents because we're trying to get an LLC after this. That will help us with the process of filing for an IP and other patents along the way. And we're trying to see if we can add a computer science or computer engineering student to the team so they could help us with the data sharing between the patient and the doctors. And we're switching to Microsoft Teams for project management, applying for more competitions, working on the prototype, and in the fall, this coming fall, we'll go into the DifferenceMaker engineering prototyping challenge. So, and since we're the last team for the night, we just would like to extend our sincere gratitude to DifferenceMaker Institute for helping us throughout this process, for Holly and Dave, and for all of our advisors who've been with us this time. So thank you all for being here.
Obviously, this device is going to have to communicate data between the patient and the doctor remotely. However, HIPAA standards and protocols and liabilities are severe. How are you going to assuage doctors that this that the data that's being transmitted is encrypted properly so there isn't an unintentional HIPAA violation?
I think that's what one of the things we're looking for with the computer science student. And not just that, also the doctors, I think we're also going to need their help for explaining more of the protocol with the HIPAA and the violation. For example, what information could be shared and who it can be shared with for it not to be a violation of that, and how to safely secure the process of getting the information from the device to the doctors without violating the protocol for HIPAA.
Disclaimer, I've been exposed to this one before. Many times, one was in one of my classes. So just a suggestion and then something to think about. I'm going to question. One suggestion is if you looked at the Zios device at all as a comparable, and the reason is that's used in place of a traditional Holter monitor, right, where they monitor EKG over a period of time. And so that device, I know through a variety of sources that there's user frustration with it because the adhesive irritates the patient. There are patients that are not wearing the device, consistently through the monitoring period at times. And then also, of course, you don't have the same sort of HIPAA issues that you have to, because ultimately it gets shipped back to them. They read the data and then, it ultimately goes from them to the hospital and the caregiver. But ultimately, there's a delay there, okay? So the caregiver isn't getting access to the data immediately. So one of my suggestions is, as you think about this, look at that as an example and think about, how you might do things differently. And then the only other question I have is relative to what you're monitoring here. Have you looked into the BP issue in terms of accuracy? Because measuring blood pressure at the wrist at this point in time is, I would say, not as accurate as, say, an EKG, for example, or using pulse oximetry, measuring oxygen content.
Yeah, so we actually, I think the Samsung Watch is looking into pulse wave analysis, and we are kind of waiting to see how that turns out, and we may end up implementing that into our future designs.
Okay.
And thank you for mentioning about the EKG.
Yeah.
We're going to look into that definitely. Another issue with the accuracy that you said, we're trying to get our device within the industry standard to be about 95%. So we did speak to some clinicians. I think one of them is she's a professor here at the biomedical engineering department, Professor Filipani. She's also a physical therapist. And she had explained that she did use the wrist monitoring devices, the arm one. And she said the main difference she noticed was the positioning of the arm, because what's available in the market, you have to hold your arm this way. And she said, when you do that, you're blocking the circulation at this point. So she had her patients do it this way, and rest it on the table. And she found that it got similar values. So we're trying to find a way we could add that to the value proposition and get a device which would help us maybe get the results while we're doing this. But we also have restraints for that, because we have patients who have strokes, for example. The arm perhaps cannot stretch out fully. So going into the prototype, we're seeking to address most of these problems as we go forward.
I just suggest not trying to bite off everything at once.
Right.
And the EKG and, basic pulse rate and things like that will be a quicker success points for you. And ultimately probably BP will be further downstream. That's my suggestion anyway.
Absolutely, thank you.
So this is more of a clinical physician monitoring tool and less a consumer wearable, correct?
It's initially we had to do we just wanted it to be the consumer wearable, but it will communicate with the physician, the clinician. But throughout this process, the summer actually, we got to find out we could have more than one customer segment for that. So we could have the consumer wearables and then the physicians also using it.
So the reason I asked, the consumer wearable is a huge market right now.
Absolutely.
And there's billions of dollars by companies much larger than yours, marketing that, defining that, and bringing it to market, right?
Yes.
But where they're faltering is in, you mentioned Holiday Monitor, I hope they've improved since I wore one 25 years ago. The thing was a brick. Okay, the thing was a brick, it wasn't the sticky stuff, it was carrying the brick around with you. So I think your better case here is in the clinical physician setting, in monitoring patients and creating a wearable device, but marketing it through the clinical setting to monitor patients and help proactively monitor their health care.
Absolutely, I think we appreciate the feedback and we'll look into that too going forward.
We have time for one more question. Way in the back.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is actually something that we heard from Visiware first. It's about, preserving patients' dignity and their ability to, feel good about what they're wearing. So I know he mentioned that it's like a brick in your pocket. Will
It's
this
huge.
be more aesthetically pleasing or blend in more?
Yeah, this device is more like a Fitbit or a Samsung watch, something that, just a wristwatch that can, go on your wrist, and you can just leave it on all day. It will take vitals whenever you need it to.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we've heard from all our teams, and we're going to recap basically look out for an email from me, going to recap the mentor process. Mentor and teams, please complete the survey by July 29th, and we'll be in touch with you after that time. And thank you for supporting the Difference Maker and our students. We're going to have some networking now, so feel free to stick around and meet the teams in person and ask more questions of them, and teams meet your mentors and try to get names and what have you. Are there any questions before we continue? All right, well, thank you all for coming.